Let me show you easily the best value for money, high performance, yet very affordable multi-purpose lens you can currently get for Fuji, Sony and also Nikon systems. So inside the box, we actually get another box. So I have actually used already this lens for a couple of weeks now, and really I'm actually mega impressed. So I tried to repackage everything back as best as I could. So inside the box we get some kind of warranty papers for it. Also even a very nice lens bag here as well, Viltrox branded. And then also our lens itself. I see it's actually very well packaged indeed. Okay, let's not drop it. So, and also we get nice lens cap. And also when it comes to quality of accessories, also you can see that these are actually very decently made. So when it comes to build quality, for this price, which this lens costs, I think it's absolutely insane what we're getting. And also we can obviously connect to also update firmware and stuff like that as well. So when it comes to build quality, at this price really, this is probably the first lens I have seen that actually has this kind of build quality. So again, I have that 25mm version here. And easily the best thing about this lens actually is the price of it. Personally, I got mine on AliExpress and I literally paid actually 130 euros. So currently I see it's 150, but also I have extra coupons in the description that you can use to bring this price down even further. So again, personally I paid I think like 134 euros for this lens. If you go in the Viltrox own website, I see they're actually listed for well over 200 at the moment. Basically when this lens got released, I think the retail price was maybe like 180, but this lens has got insanely popular and they have actually cranked up the price. So again, if you still want to get it for actually still a really good price, simply check out the special discount links. Again, like 130 euros, maybe that's $140 essentially, again with free shipping, and you can get it for Nikon, Fuji and Sony for this price. This is pretty much impossible to beat. By the way, Viltrox also currently has released a couple more Air series lenses, such as 35 and 50mm. However, if you simply need a multi-purpose lens that can be used for most things, I think this 25mm actually is the best basically out of all of them. So actually I do not like to use and carry a lot of lenses basically with me. So, and I primarily actually got this to replace my kit lens basically on this Sony camera. So this is a 16 by 50mm lens, and if we check basically the size, okay, so you see this is what it looks like compared to the kit lens. But the great thing about the Sony cameras at least is we can obviously use a clear image zoom, and also if you use a crop factor, this also can act as a like kind of zoom lens as well. And again, 25mm is really wide enough to already be used for most things. Also, when I got this lens, I was also incredibly impressed actually by the autofocus performance on this lens. Usually on third-party lenses, usually the autofocus struggles and also it's very loud. But I find the autofocus speed actually is even tiny bit better basically than on this kit lens, which again is absolutely insane. And when it comes to the noise, this is pretty much silent. So again, you can't really hear at all when it's focusing. Again, other lenses in this price range especially, again, they're absolutely loud, and for video work they're pretty much like nearly unusable. Also, I have used the Sony 35mm lens, I think, so a bit older model, and I think this is way better basically than that lens when it comes to autofocus and also how whisper quiet it is. And this is what this lens looks like when it's mounted on the camera. So you see, it's actually still very compact lens, and it doesn't really add any other extra weight compared really to the kit lens. So yeah, when it comes to size, I think this is absolutely awesome. And again, mostly the main reason why I got this 25mm 1.7 over other basically lens from the Air series is because this is way more multi-purpose lens than the other lens. So obviously we get a nice prime lens, which already is plenty wide enough in my opinion for most things. But also if you use it with a Sony camera, for example, if we go in the settings, we can simply enable or disable the stabilization to be able to even like punch in more. So again, when it comes to quality difference, there isn't really quality and any quality like downgrade essentially from my experience. And also what's absolutely awesome, we can also enable the clear image zoom function as well on the Sony camera. So you see, I can zoom in extra 1.5x. And let me show you what it looks like in real life. So currently I do not have the stabilization, but if I use a clear image zoom, you see I can actually zoom in very well. Again, so this is the widest it can do. And next, let's enable stabilization. And now I have the stabilization on, and if you use a clear image zoom on the top of it, let's see just how insanely nice we can zoom in. Also, when we look at the depth of field, it's also absolutely awesome on this lens. So again, this is the maximum we can zoom in. And again, we are back to normal without stabilization and also without clear image zoom. So you see just how insanely nice you can even zoom in on this prime lens. So yeah, absolutely amazing if you have Sony camera. And again, this is zoomed in all the way in with a clear image zoom plus a stabilization crop. So you see just how insanely versatile this particular lens can be if you use it correctly with Sony features. Again, the clear image zoom, even if I pixel peep, again, there isn't really any quality loss whatsoever. So I think that is probably my favorite thing about the Sony camera essentially. So you can use basically prime lens on them and even zoom in basically without any loss of quality. So yeah, absolutely awesome. When it comes to negatives for this lens, I would say my only nitpick for it is the minimum focusing distance. So you see we get 30 cm distance, which would probably be something like this. So if you want to basically film something very up close to it, so basically use it for macro purpose, again, this probably isn't very good for that. But again, at this price, that's really a nitpick. So other lenses, even if you check the kit lens, so you see this is 25 like centimeters, and these are one of the best out there. So again, at this price, I'm not actually complaining. So again, you can simply use a clear image zoom plus the crop factor, and then you can simply get your lens a bit away to be able to punch in on maybe like fine details. So basically, when I'm filming a lot of these videos, I actually like to get basically very close to the lens, maybe this kind of distance away, so to be able to capture like very nice details here. But with this lens, so again, I have to use that clear image zoom plus that crop factor to be able to do this. So if you use it without those features, this is pretty much impossible to capture with this lens. And overall, is this lens actually worth it, and should you maybe get one? Well, I can actually highly suggest this lens, because if you look at the competition, if you actually want to get the same quality, same image quality, same autofocus performance, then you really have to pay probably like at least 2 times more than this lens costs. Again, if we compare basically this lens versus maybe a bit older Sony models, which literally cost even like 2 times more than this at the moment, this completely destroys. Much better autofocus, also the image clarity, also fringing is much better on this one. So this feels like pretty much like almost like very good mid-range lens as well. So this is not a budget lens, I would say, when we look at the build quality and its actual performance. If you compare this lens maybe to other cheaper brands, maybe such as TT Artisan, those obviously are like a totally budget lens, and also when you touch them you can also feel that they're kind of cheaply made. But this one, it's actually very decent quality. Focus performance is spot on, really just as good or even better than some basically older Sony lenses. So yeah, absolutely insane what we're getting for this price, and really no wonder why this lens is actually getting so popular. Again, if you want to get it for the cheapest price possible, simply check out the special discount links and use those extra coupons. So again, I literally paid 134 euros for mine with free shipping. For this price, really, this is unbeatable. So yeah, when we consider all things together, so yeah, absolutely amazing. Good luck.